I heard the wind before I left, starting to
Yeah.
howl. Yeah.
It's getting cold again.
They said it's supposed to get warm tomorrow and have like
The
a
weekend.
rain,
Is that?
and then it's gonna get cold again. Well, it's January, when we
You get rain,
what do we
with all the
expect?
snow that we got, everything's gonna start flooding.
That's what I was afraid of, because I saw drips coming down.
Tell me when you're ready and I'll check.
I don't think you need to check.
Well, I remember last time we
They'll
didn't
let
have,
us know.
we didn't have volume.
We should be okay, because these weren't out last time, remember? These weren't out. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Yeah, we'll wait on that one and somebody got something close?
Nope, not me.
Not me, mine's in my pocket.
Yep, mine's
I don't
right
think
here,
my
You got a cell phone up there, Fred?
Yeah, it's way
Yeah,
over.
you gotta, it's too close to the mic. You're new to that.
He's up there last week.
It can be, and then
For some
sometimes
reason,
mine
it
back here
picks up
saying.
sometimes.
I just pick on the new guy, that's
Well,
No, I
You're not
keep mine
really
way up
new.
here, and sometimes it interferes, and
for the
sometimes
new
it
old
doesn't.
guy.
you're new used.
Okay, whenever you're ready, I'll hit this one.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of the Village of Walton Hills at 7 p.m. Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. Second order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to turn the mics up a little bit. Mylan Merzick said good video, good audio, good video, but audio a little low. Take the sound up a little bit.
I'm on it.
I know, smoke, I know, steam.
Okay. Item 3, we'd like to take a moment of silence for our deceased residents, Jerome Weitzman, Velma Dartluff, Connie Ann Zastrabeski, and Nancy J. Jola, and also for our active duty armed forces. Thank you, everybody. Okay, roll call?
Councilman Nielsen,
Here?
Councilwoman Brenner Miller,
Here,
Councilwoman Allen,
Here.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Here.
Councilman Whedon.
Here. All of council present, along with our fiscal officer, Angela Rivet, and our law solicitor, John Montello. Okay, any persons having business before council? Come on up. Jim, and you gotta come up to the mic and state your name and address and who you're married to and how long and her good qualities or bad qualities.
We're just jacked up, we haven't been married yet.
That part I'm only kidding about.
James Conkey, 7700 Somerset. 29 years married, 3 kids. Yeah, now that it's in the minutes. I have 2 questions for council, please. First question. When the fire hydrant gets buried, whose responsibility or what is the procedure that we should do to unbury this hydrant? Is it who's closest to the hydrant as a resident? What is the direction the village has for me? Question.
Okay, go ahead, Jim, we'll answer, or after,
Okay. I mean,
you had two of them?
second one, what is our progress that we are making on 7801 Somerset Drive?
Okay.
Those are my only two questions I have for council.
Well, for my thing, no one ever asked me about the first one, so I'll have to find out about that, but, and you mean fire hydrant buried by snow?
I'm gonna assume the plow trucks from the village took the snow from the street and put several pushes down on top of it to where I knew it was there because it's next to my driveway.
Okay.
I do know, working different municipalities, they have flags on them where they raise them up during snow season. I do know that's an added cost to council. But without that hydrant, there's probably nothing closer than another 200 feet away. That hydrant definitely affects 3 homes. I did uncover it, I moved it. I would just like to bring it to council's attention so we can kind of move into a safer winter.
With that said, since I really don't have an answer, I know I have a meeting with, not a meeting, a phone conference with our chief, Mr. Shea, tomorrow over something else, so it's a good question I'm gonna ask him.
Thank you very much, sir.
And now the second one, I can just say where it's at, right?
Yeah, I believe it was continued because of COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's, what you're referring to, our last court date, that person, that house was summoned. They requested a continuance, and I think the continuance is for this Thursday.
Yes.
He has gone to several neighbors to find out who made the complaint. I did tell those neighbors that he's more than happy to give them my name and point where I live. The path towards the street has grown. I do say that yesterday he came home with a whole brand-new pickup truckload of items on it. And as of tonight, those items were off the truck and not on the property that I could see from the street. So that's where we're at. And I'm bringing this up because we've been fighting this since June. All right?
Yes,
We finished with Jim?
unless you have any more questions.
Fred?
Does
Yes,
anybody,
sir.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
council, does anybody have anything to respond to Mr. Conkey?
No, other than the gentleman brings up a very, very good point, though, we should do something about, well, we need to do something about the fire hydrants in situations like this. Why, if we have to spend the money, that'd probably be less than $5,000, well within your authority to spend.
They're just little flags that get mounted right to the top, you know. I've seen them in other communities too.
That wouldn't have been high enough.
So, well, no, not with what we had with
Yeah.
this freak storm.
We need
but-
the Baja ones, right? They used to put on the orange flags on the bikes and
The
stuff.
one that Fred has on his bike that brought him to work today.
Well, and I know that this, you know, the service department is busy and they're low man and all that stuff, but a snow event like this, that should be a priority to get those uncovered by somebody, whomever does that. I would imagine it's the service department, but I don't know. But that should be some sort of a priority.
And I have questions that, you know, just thinking about that here is, do they have on the, like, are there, and I'm sure they are, because I've heard before that they have their GPSs marked with the location. So let's say, even if you had a flag and it got buried, you don't expect the firemen to show up for the scene and have to look for it. And I want to confirm that, because that is it, even if, so let's say you put flags, they get broken or they're missing, you would hope that the firemen, when they get to that location, they know the location or where it should be, you know. And so that's a question I have for the chief too. You know, do they have something, so let's say it does get buried, do they know, hey, we're gonna dig over here where it is, because we have it marked on our GPS and not over there, you know, because that's wasting time too, so. we'll get back to you on that, not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Any other questions from anybody else? Jim, you can go whatever you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Any residents online?
There's residents online, but no other questions so far.
Okay, we'll give it a couple minutes because we know there's a delay. Okay. Council have any? I'll go right into my report. If somebody has a question and we can
Mr. Mayor,
address it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
it's a comment, and I don't know if I remembered this correctly, but Mike had been a firefighter in Cleveland Heights.
Uh-huh.
And I think they had, when back in the day, before the GPS, I think they had maps of where the fire hydrants were located, at least in like the different districts where the different fire departments were, so they had a general idea where they were
Right.
going. But now I'm sure it's much more advanced, like
It's
the
electronic.
GPS, yes. But,
That's a good question. We'll find that out and address it. Okay, any other questions?
Not yet.
Okay, then we'll keep moving. Okay, I got the mayor's report, item 6. We have the monthly mayor's court report. Okay, this would be for December. The current period is $20,856.66. Year-to-date, we're at $269,924.80. Last year-to-date was $192,068.32. So we're up quite a bit. More of a normal year. Okay, and we have the police department report. Okay, and this is also for the month of December. The Walton Hills Police Department issued 74 citations in the month of December. The predominant violation was speed with 11 citations, followed by 9 written for expired plates and 6 citations for driving under suspension. There was not any arrest for driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and that's a nice one to see. Very happy to see that. Okay. Any council comments at this time, or any time? Did you have something?
Yes,
Mr.
just a
Whedon?
brief, just to thank Mr. Conkey for digging out that fire hydrant, being caring about himself as well as his neighbors. And to other residents in the village, because I did notice up in our development, there was a fire hydrant dug out yesterday. So I know city hadn't had time to get around, the village hadn't had a chance to get around. And also to, just to acknowledge, Mr. Alexander, who's here, and other residents in the village who stepped up to assist many of our residents. I'm not going to try to do a name call, but many of our residents who have plow equipment came and assisted. Many of our residents, some who may be eligible for the senior program and some who may not. But in an event like we had yesterday, it's just nice to know that there are neighbors being neighbors here in Walton Hills, along with the work that our service department did. Phenomenal job.
I would agree. Any other council comments? Okay, we'll move on to legislation. We've already talked about it in 2 COW meetings. Who would like to introduce this for suspension? I think,
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to introduce this
okay.
for suspension.
Yeah, why don't we just do them? We don't
Yeah.
need to go through them. We went through them in the COW meeting and okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce for suspension resolution number 2022-1, a resolution confirming the appointment of Robert Coleman as street commissioner for the village of Walton Hills, Ohio, for the period beginning February 1st, 2022 through January 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a second?
second,
Oh, Mary got it.
Okay. Vote on suspension.
Councilman Nielsen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner-Miller,
yes,
Councilwoman Allen,
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay, suspension passed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of resolution number 2022-1.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brian Spitznagel. Mr. Spitznagel. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes,
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
It was the adoption.
Adoption, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Got ahead of myself.
I knew what you meant.
Okay, that passed 5-0. Thank you, everybody. Item B, who would like to introduce that for suspension?
I'll do that, Mayor.
Mr. Spitznagel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce for suspension resolution, resolution 2022-2, a resolution confirming the appointment of Natalie Buck as the part-time Recreation and Community Life Recreation Director for the Village of Walton Hills, Ohio, for the period beginning February 1, 2022 through January 31, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon. Vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
yes,
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay, suspension 5-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to ask for adoption of resolution number 2022-2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Whedon. Vote on the adoption.
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
yes,
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 2022 passed 5-0. Thank you. Item C, Chagrin Valley Engineering.
Mayor Colgraf,
Mr. Whedon.
members of council, I'd like to introduce for suspension Resolution 2022-3, a resolution reappointing Joseph L. Gelati as the village engineer, fixing the duties and compensation for said position, providing for other municipal engineering services for the village of Walton Hills from Chagrin Valley Engineering Ltd. And declaring an emergency.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nielsen. Okay, vote on the suspension.
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
yes,
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay, suspension passed.
Mayor Colgraf, members of council, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2022-3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nielsen. Okay, vote on adoption.
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
yes,
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes 5-0. Item D, who would like to introduce that for suspension?
I will.
Mary?
Item D, I'd like to introduce for suspension. Wait a minute, thank you. Okay, resolution, providing for the sale of personal property by internet auction with the terms and conditions thereof in 2022 and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Vote on the suspension?
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel. Sorry. Councilman Weed.
Yes.
You thought you were safe on that side, but
Okay.
you're not.
Suspension passes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for adoption of Resolution 2022-4.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Second by Jennifer Allen. Vote on adoption.
Councilman Nielsen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller.
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen.
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel.
Yes.
Councilman Weed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That passed 5-0. Okay. Item 9, old and new business. As you know, we talked about the deadline for the zoning board applicants, which was Friday at midnight. We have 4 applicants. So I would like to, maybe set it up, we'll see, for interviews, either the next COW meeting or the following one. We want to give them plenty of time to see if everybody can be here. We'll do the same process we did the last opening. It seemed to work pretty well. We go from there. I'll make copies of the letters of interest for everybody and get them in your boxes. And that was one thing I wanted to share with you. Morning meeting with the mayor tomorrow, 9 to 11 at the event center. I know probably one of the topics is going to be the Ford plant. Mr. Jordan will join us as usual and share what's going on up until this point, which isn't much more than what you're all aware of and what we've shared with council and the residents so far. I think we can kind of go through that. Let's see, what else? And that's really about it for now that I have. Does anybody else, council, have anything for old or new business that they want to share?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just to announce that there will be a Recreation Committee meeting next Tuesday, January 25th at 7:00 p.m. here.
And we will also stream that too. We'll continue to stream the meeting, so just so if anybody's wondering, that meeting will be streamed too, and people can comment. Anything else?
Councilwoman Allen had asked me about financials. They are on the way to you by the end of this week. I can get you some November if you want tomorrow, but December, I'm trying to get everything all buttoned up here for year end, so we're in the home stretch. I'm feeling really confident about the taxes, and I meant to run, those are all put in, and I meant to run numbers for you guys, but I didn't. I'm curious where we landed, because we had a lot come in for net profit at the end of the year, so I can get those numbers out even sooner.
Okay, I just want to comment a little bit about yesterday. I know I left very early, and Walton Hills was still, I left my house about 6:15, one of the best communities. Everybody was struggling, you know, it was just coming down hard. And I drive through 4 communities and end up in Beechwood, and Beechwood, we looked as good as Beechwood. I don't want the mayor to hear that, but they always look, I kind of always compare it, because Beechwood always is like Walton Hills, and we look good. It's sometimes it's a struggle for our service department. Other service departments just was one of those things that just didn't stop, just kept coming down. And what they do, Rob does a good job. They divide the guys in half, you know, cut them in half. Some guys do the second shift, third shift, and some guys do the first shift, you know, lap over, because normally we don't have a second and third shift. So they do a great job of volunteering for that, and all of them work, of course, in excess of their 8 hours, and accept that and understand that. So I just want to thank them and thank our police department, who's out there too, who when there is a holiday like yesterday, they don't have a choice, they're there, you know, and then, you know, some of them make plans to do something, and you get bad weather, and they're there. So we're very fortunate for having good staff and working hard. So I just want to put a shout out to them. Okay. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Any residents want to add anything? Well, then I guess we can ask for a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment of the regular council meeting,
Second.
January 18th.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yeah, Mary was beating everybody to the punch.
Vote on the motion.
Councilman Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brenner Miller?
Yes.
Councilwoman Allen?
Yes.
Councilman Spitznagel?
Yes.
Councilman Weedy?
Yes. Meeting adjourned at 7:25. Thank you, everybody. Be safe going home. Thank you, residents. Morning meeting tomorrow. We do have some pastries and some coffee. So, nothing that exciting, but that'll be
Mayor, I'll be there.
that'll be
Not
sad.
bad, right?
He's got a little stand set up, he's selling, half a buck for a cup of coffee,
You're charging us grandbabies, kid, go on, get
dollar for a
2 more days.
it. Is that what it is, 2 more days only?
The
Yeah,
hockey club.
Thursday, if it doesn't happen.